Hey everyone, I'm Ishan Sharma, and in this video, I am glad to be talking with Akshat Shrivastava. He has been making some really informative content on YouTube, and in this video, we talked about investing and how can you build your wealth in your 20s. We also talked about his own life journey. What did he do in his 20s? How did he start earning? How did he save? How did he invest? What does he think about investing into stocks, into gold, and a lot of other questions we have discussed in this video. The timestamps are in the description. You can move around if you want to. Make sure that you hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, and here is the video. Hey Akshat, thank you so much for joining me here for this video, and how are you doing there?
Hey Ishan, I'm good man. So first and foremost, like a very quick word, even before I tell how am I doing. So I saw one of your videos, you had like long curly hair, right? And I used to look exactly like that when I was your age, right? So I had like this length curly hair, right? So I mean, that's a fun fact that I wanted to state right up front before we get started with the actual serious thing on this video. So I'm good. How are you? How are things at your end?
I'm doing great as well. I've just been managing YouTube, trying to build Market Up. That is a content creation agency I started with my roommate. So yeah, that long hair thing. What happened is that I was too afraid to get out of the house. Right when the whole lockdown thing happened, I was just like, "मैं बाहर ही नहीं निकलूंगा." So I was just in it. I was just inside the house for I think 8 months or something. That was crazy. Okay. Akshat, tell us about your journey. What were you doing in your 20s? How was you thinking about building wealth when you were at that stage?
Sure. So I think there are two parts to building wealth, right? I mean, that is something that I was very clear about right from the onset. I don't know how I got that clarity, but the two things that I was clear about was that number one, you need to make money to invest, right? People talk a lot about investments. I talk a lot about investing money in XYZ instruments. But the bottom line is that first and foremost, you need to earn well. There is no point in just having like 200 rupees and then turning it into 400 rupees, right? I mean, you need to first and foremost figure out that, hey, is there a way for me to figure out how to build my brand equity, how to earn more money in the first place? And then comes the second part, which is figuring out a way to invest, right? So these are the two basic pillars on which you need to think about. So I also thought about that. So I started my first job working with a non-profit organization. So as you can imagine, that non-profit organizations do not pay much. So I was getting paid like 10,000 rupees, something around that. But I had taken GMAT. I was very clear about the fact that I want to go to a top tier business school outside India. So I was working towards that. That was one of the reasons why I joined a non-profit to begin with, right? Because I wanted to differentiate my profile. So, but along with my job, I was teaching for GMAT because I already had a good GMAT score. I had a decent GMAT score. So I built my own private practice of teaching GMAT back in college. So that's how I thought about it. A related point here would be that no matter which job I have pursued subsequently, I have always thought about building parallel income streams. So just to summarize, three things, right? One is figure out a way to earn more, right? Because that is what you can invest. Second is think about parallel income streams, and third is that finally learn how to invest. So in a nutshell, this is the sequence in which I moved as well.
Mm-hmm. How did you get into consulting?
How did I get into consulting? So it was a natural progression, right? For example, I was working with, so initially I started my career working with a non-profit, then I moved to working with Ministry of Rural Development because again, that is development related work. So I worked with Ministry of Rural Development, I worked in Minister's private team, right? I was a speechwriter and did a bunch of different things. Now, a natural progression from there on would be that you go and work with the social impact practice of different consulting firms, right? Because once you have understood the non-profit social impact space, and if you want to move to the private sector part of the equation, then consulting is the natural progression. Why? Because it's easier to switch to consulting. For example, it would have been very tough for me to move to investment banking or private equity or VC funds, but management consulting is one role or one area where they are okay with job switchers, right? Or like, let's not call it job switching, but it's easy to migrate to this industry and sector. So that was one. Second, as I previously mentioned, that I was always interested in working or getting an MBA, right? And after an MBA, either it's finance or it's consulting. These are the two major career paths. So I picked consulting.
Got it. So let's now talk about the audience and what they wanted to get from this video. How can someone get started with investing? And like there are multiple assets that they can start investing into, right? So they have stocks, they have like simple mutual funds, and then you have index funds as well. We have the whole Warren Buffett passive investing kind of an approach to just invest and don't think too much. Don't try to time the market. And then there's definitely, you can invest into real estate as well. What do you think people should start off with, and just like from your own experience?
Sure. So I would say that you should start off with the simplest thing that is out there, right? So I mean, the first major investment that we generally make as youngsters when we are 25, 26 is that we go and buy a house, or take a loan and then figure out a way to pay the EMIs. So that is something that I would not advocate, right? Because that is a complex way of investing, right? Because you have gotten into that entire loan taking thing and whatnot, right? So first and foremost, whatever you think is the simplest investment strategy for you, figure it out, right? Be it investing directly in stocks, be it investing in a mutual fund, active or passive mutual fund, or be it just investing in a passive mutual fund. So I would keep it super simple there. Right? So that's the first key tip that I would give you, because once you invest your little bit of money, then step 2 activates that you then start learning a little bit more what is happening with your investment. Hopefully you start learning a little bit more what's happening with your investment, right? So all those things kick in, and then automatically you start learning things. A point that I would like to mention here is that you should learn about the investments that you have made, right? And keep it simple. Don't just literally go on day one and start investing in bitcoins or real estate. Don't do that. There is a lot of cryptomania. I myself advocate investing in bitcoins or cryptocurrencies. I'm a big investor in it. I'm bullish about it, and I would continue to be bullish about it, right? So let's see if I'm right or wrong there. But bottom line is that you must start with something that is simple, which you can easily do on sustained basis, and then complicate things further, right? I mean, it's like learning any language, right? So it's not as if that on day one, if you're learning English, you will go and start reading Shakespeare, right? It's madness, right? So you'll start with like basic things, and then subsequently you will complicate things. So don't get into complex things at the beginning, and amplify from there.
Mm-hmm. Which would be like the safe thing that for people to do. They always try to ask me like, oh, should we just invest in gold, or should we just think of index funds, or what would be a good thing? FD.
Sure. FD, no, right? Because the inflation rate in India is high. It usually stays high, right? So if, for example, if the inflation rate in India tends to be 5 to 6%, and if your FD after tax it gets you 4.5%, and I'm talking actual numbers, so you're losing 0.5% every year minimum, right? So don't do that, especially like in a bull market or in a growth market when the economy is expanding, because post 2020 coronavirus, the economy started shrinking. So now you have to go and look for growth investing opportunities, especially if you're young. I hope I'm not complicating this, right? So to answer your question that, hey, where should you invest? So I think the simplest instrument would be go and invest in a passive mutual fund. This could be Nifty 50, Sensex. Just go and invest it. You don't need to use brain too much there, right? Just literally go and buy any company's Nifty 50 Sensex mutual fund, and you're okay, right? I mean, you would not need to stress too much about it. And please do not keep looking at your investment, because I keep getting messages that, hey Akshat, you posted a video on like this stock, I bought it today, it has gone down by 2 rupees. Of course it will go down like a little bit, man, so don't worry about that, right? So there will be a little bit of ups and downs in the stock market journey, but generally, right, that is what history tells us, that Nifty 50 or Sensex, that they have generally gone upwards, right? So there is a very clear trend line. I don't know if you can post that picture of Nifty 50. So try to do it if you can. So sure. So it has generally gone up, right? So and if you're betting on Nifty, you're literally betting on India's economy, right? So to say, so Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala bets a lot on the India's economy. He bets it in sector-specific stocks and does a lot of research. We do not have that kind of research capabilities per se. So let's play it safe. Let's literally bet on India's economy. If India economy goes up, then Nifty 50 will go up. You don't need to know any finance or investing yarn for that.
Right. And what do you think about gold as an investment for people at our age, like let's say 20s?
So gold is a hedge. It's not an investment per se, in my opinion, right? So hedging means that, for example, if the stock market is going up, and if you have a very big portfolio, right? So let's imagine that you have like a 5 crore portfolio or something, and then if you have like a bit of gold in it for hedging purpose, it makes sense, right? Otherwise, investing in gold, ETFs, etc., I would personally not advocate, right? From that perspective, right? That's what I would say about gold. That gold is essentially a hedging instrument rather than an investing instrument in our age as of now. Yeah.
One of the problems that people have is when they get their salary and they first start earning, they start to spend a lot as well. Has this happened with you? And if so, like how would you recommend other people to control that sense ki, okay, now we need to upgrade our lifestyle, and people end up becoming this lifestyle freak in which the things that they own end up owning them.
So I think that, basically, so it's a more psychological question, right? I mean, as stated in the book, Psychology of Money, and I'm like building up from those learnings. So what I feel is that, see, so I have a son, right? I mean, he spends his energy in something, right? He'll have to spend his energy in something. He'll dance, either, he'll cry, he'll, create a lot of ruckus. He'll do something, right? Or the other. If he's a kid, he has a lot of energy, he'll do something. Similarly, if you have money and if you are recently started making money, you will do something with it, right? I can't tell you that go and invest or go and don't eat pizza or burger or, don't go out. You will do something with it, right? So you need to figure out the psychology behind it, that what is it that you want to, that you're okay spending your money on. For example, in my case, I was very clear by the time I was like 20, 21 that, hey, I had to go to a business school. So let me start saving whatever I can, right? So I started saving money for that, right? Luckily, I got a lot of scholarship, all that good stuff happened. But bottom line was that for me, the meaning of money changed, right? Even before I got my first paycheck, that, hey, I had to save money to go to a business school, right? So that was what I was spending my money on, or wanted to spend my money on. Similarly, if you are clueless and you get your first salary, I can guarantee you that you will end up spending it even without thinking about it, right? So you need to figure out what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that's what
you talked about MBA. What is the most important thing that you learned from MBA? And one more question people have is, if I want to start up later on, let's say even in college right now or later on, do I really need to get like an MBA to get information about all of these things like startup economics and things like?
Right. So I think there are two different set of questions that you're asking, right? It's less a question about an MBA versus not an MBA or any other degree. That's one part of the equation. Getting a degree from a good college solves a completely different purpose, and people mix these two purposes, right? So two things, right? So one is skill, right? If your argument is that, hey, an MBA is only teaching me skill, I can do some courses online and I can get that skill, I agree with you, right? So, but that is not what an MBA is for, or any master's degree is for. The master's degree is for a signaling effect, right? As I talk a lot on my videos, that when you say that you're an MBA from Harvard, Stanford, INSEAD, whatever, right? Then there is a certain brand impact of that, right? So you're doing it from a brand value perspective, that people believe your word more, right? If you are starting your own venture, probably getting funding might get easier, right? Ceteris paribus, right? That you're equally skilled, right? So that's one. Second is that people mix, and sometimes people just assume that, hey, we can either be skilled or we can either have great brands, right? That's not true. That cannot be further away from the truth, right? For example, I graduated from INSEAD. Now my classmates, they have founded billion-dollar unicorns, right? Multiple people, right? Literally my classmates, right? So in Europe, they are running multiple companies. So it's not as if the people who have graduated from good business schools, they feel entitled, they don't work hard, right? And all that stuff. So you can do both, right? No one is stopping you from doing both, but just understand what you need. If you're just after skills, that, hey, I can build my skills by studying something online, taking online courses, and I feel okay with that, right? That I can now go in the market and I can make a good career out of it just by being skilled. Great, do it. If you feel that I need both, I need skill also, I need brand also, then also great, right? A third scenario is where you just feel that, hey, I have done an MBA from Harvard, I'm super entitled, I don't want to work a day in my life. That will not happen, but I'm just giving you a hypothetical scenario. Then of course, you'll be kicked out and no one is going to pay you money, right? Just because you're from Harvard or you're from an IIT or you're from XYZ college, it's not as if that the world will bow down before you and then, they will pay you a lot of money. That is not going to happen. You still have to work very hard. Yeah.
Right. I think that this point of having like brand that you associate yourself with, like the college that you go to, has a big impact, because like I was also currently I'm studying in BITS. So what happened is that when I started Market Up, I got to a lot of people who were like VC funds who had BITS alumni. They just contacted us saying, what is it that you're actually doing? So they wanted to learn more about that. So I think that was definitely a good thing, that we at least get a chance to like get in front of their eyeballs. So yeah. All right. How did you get into YouTube? What was that motivation like for you?
See, to be honest, man, I mean, it was not a very thought out decision, right? I experiment with different things. I love doing different things. So probably YouTube, I did it from that angle. Honestly, I have fun on YouTube. I do YouTube for fun. I just come chat, right? Make jokes. say stupid stuff sometimes, right? So that's pretty much it, right? So I don't like sit and script my videos all day, so to say. I do research. I just generally read. I enjoy learning things. I've always enjoyed learning things. So whatever I learn, half of it comes out naturally, right, from that angle whenever I'm making a video, etc. So it's fun for me. There was no specific motivation per se. I've been writing on LinkedIn for the last 1 year now, right? Actively writing on LinkedIn for the last 1 year now. I enjoyed creating content, right? So I thought that, hey, why not do it in a video format? The growth has been good, right? YouTube gods have been very kind from that angle, right? So thank YouTube gods, right? So that's fun. But yeah, I've just enjoyed the process. That's what I would say. But yeah, no thought out strategy per se. Yeah.
Amazing. How do you keep yourself updated with all the things that are happening? You talked about that monopoly of edtech in the edtech space and a bunch of videos you've made in which you've gone into depth analyzing a particular topic. So how do you stay updated? Some resources that you refer to every once in a while to understand what's happening out there?
Sure. So it's not about like resources that you explore. It's more about like, just figuring out what the good things from that piece of article is, right? So that comes with practice. That is something that I was trained to do as a management consultant. So I've been doing it for years, right? So that's how I would put it. It's not as if that he and what Akshat is like this very specific, dark web kind of a resource where he goes and researches all his material. No, nothing like that. It's just that I read like usual stuff only. It's just that I'm able to read between the lines and see some things, right? Because of the years of practice that I've had as a management consultant, or like plus like business degree, plus like running my own businesses, plus like doing content creation. So I am able to piece all these different things together and present it, and people like it. So yeah, very thankful to them. Yeah.
How are you so consistent on YouTube? Because look, when I started on YouTube, I used to make one video every 2 days, right? And then people used to call me crazy. And then I would look at you making one video every single day, and I'm like, oh my God.
So I think, so honestly, like, I mean, see, number one, I speak from experiences, right? So I have that advantage, that age advantage that you probably did not have, because I have already learned like multiple startups. They have grown up, right? They have grown big, right? A decently moderate size. I've done entrepreneurship. I've already done content writing. I've worked with like good firms already. I have an MBA. So if I have to think about or talk about my MBA, right, I can give you like a crash course without even preparing for it, right? So on that sense, because of personal experiences, it's not as if that I'm trying to boast or like, say like things from a very unnatural angle, but if you're speaking from experience, right, then of course, and if you're a subject matter expert on certain areas, then you can talk from experiences. So that helps in terms of curating your content.
What are your favorite books?
Yeah. Okay, so what are my favorite books? So I read like different types of books, right? And it's not literally just books. I would call it like knowledge material. But if I have to just speak of books, I really enjoyed reading Psychology of Money, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, right? These are like very common everyday books. I also read a lot about like Stoic philosophy, right? So by Ryan Holiday. So he writes a lot. That's something that I really
Ego
enjoy.
is the Enemy is an amazing book.
Yeah, right. I don't like have time to read fiction now, but in the past I really like John Grisham's books. Right, it's like just fun but probably a waste of time, so please don't do it. But generally, those are enjoyable books, right? Harry Potter, of course. Right? So these are like some non-fiction books. Other than that, I'm like pretty research-oriented type of guy. So I would rather do like very focused research that I'll go read like annual reports and all that stuff. So yeah, but then from a book's point of view, which other books? So I really enjoyed like a book called as Breakout Nations, right? So it's by an Indian author, right? I think Akshat Shrivastava. So he wrote that. It was very interesting. But yeah, I read like wide variety of books.
Right. Thank you so much, Akshat, for joining me here for this amazing talk. It was great talking to you. Keep making amazing content, and I just love learning from those videos.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
That is it. I hope you got to learn something from this. Let me know in the comment section what do you think about this. And yeah, I just had a lot of fun talking with Akshat, and you can also find some other videos on this channel. The links for those would be in the description. And I'll see you again in the next video. You can follow me on Instagram, and yeah, bye-bye.